Hi, I'm Bill Keeter. Are you tired of looking at long spare parts lists when you try to enter spare parts in the corrective and preventive maintenance activities in your RCMCost and AvSim models? Today, I will show you how to import bills of materials into Availability Workbench to make this job easier. In this presentation, we will talk about what bills of materials are, the benefits of using bills of materials, how to use them, which tables are used in Availability Workbench, and do an example of setting up and importing them. What are BOMs? The two versions of the bills of materials used in maintenance are the machine bill of materials and the work order bill of materials. The machine BOM lists all of the replaceable parts of the machine. These parts are listed in the store's catalog but are not necessarily kept in stores. The list should contain all the information required to order the parts. The work order BOM lists all of the parts required to perform the work order. It will include a list of consumables used to complete the maintenance task as well. BOMs increase the efficiency of creating maintenance job plans and help ensure the accuracy of the parts listed in the work orders. BOMs increase the efficiency and accuracy of RAMS models and add value to the output of the modeling process. It is possible to create BOMs from the data used to build the RAMS model if there are no existing BOMs for the equipment item. How are BOMs used? BOMs are used in the store's catalog to make ordering repair parts for the equipment easier. Maintaining the list to include basic ordering information such as manufacturer's part numbers and vendor information improves the efficiency of the ordering process. Having stores catalog part numbers increases the efficiency of the planners. It keeps them from having to research vendor information to order parts, thus freeing up the planner's time to focus on planning jobs rather than obtaining parts. BOMs drastically improve the time needed to build failure models by shortening the length of the pick list for the parts. It is possible to use the full functionality of Availability Workbench to create BOMs for use in the CMMS. There are fields for almost all the information needed to create the BOMs. The powerful export capability of Availability Workbench can be used to export whatever information someone else would need to create the BOMs in stores. The four primary tables you'll work with when doing BOMs in Availability Workbench are the BOM list, the BOM items list, the spares list, and the locations in the diagrams. The process consists of four basic steps. Number one, get the BOM information from whichever source makes sense. It can come from the CMMS, the store's catalog, or the technical data provided by the OEM. Next is prepare that data for import into Availability Workbench by putting it into the correct format. So you'll need to put it into an Excel file or an Access file or one of the many other file types that are supported by Availability Workbench and make sure you have the right fields put together. Then set it up for import into Availability Workbench. Attach it to the external source, match the fields, save the import file with a name so that you can use it again later. And lastly, import the data. Import the spares list first, then the BOM list, then the BOM items assigned to those lists, and lastly, attach those BOMs to the locations. We will work through an example using data that was exported from a CMMS. The spreadsheet on the left of the screen is the one exported, and the one on the right side shows an extract from the BOM list that will be imported into Availability Workbench. Here we have a spreadsheet with an exported BOM. The sheet contains the locations each BOM is assigned to, along with its parent, a list of the spares in each BOM, and the quantities of each spare. Your CMMS export may differ, but the general principles are the same. You will need to create additional sheets depending on your goals. An export like this one can be used to import locations to Availability Workbench if they haven't already been created. In this instance, I created 4 sheets, including locations, spares, BOM list, and BOM items. The locations spreadsheet is set up just the way it should be for importing RCM locations. Make sure to list the parents first in the import list. The spares sheet is set up by copying and pasting the entire list of the BOM and then using the advanced filter capability in Excel to create a unique list of individual spares. Note that the BOM list has the BOM name and location to which the BOM is assigned. The BOM name is imported first, then the BOM assignments are imported to the locations table to make the BOM assignments. And the last sheet is the BOM items, and it will be the last sheet to be imported. The BOM items list includes the subindex number for each spare assigned to the individual BOM. That subindex is needed in order for Availability Workbench to know exactly which item is in the table. The sheets are imported in this order. First, locations. Make sure you've listed the parent locations at the top of the import list because AWB will not import properly if you don't do that. Secondly, the spares. I didn't include the cost column, but you could include it. Third, we'll import the BOM list, and we use it twice for imports. The first import is to import the list into the program, and the second import is used to assign the BOM to the individual locations. And lastly, we import the BOM items. We will start the import in a new AWB file. First, we connect to the saved workbook and import each sheet as described before. I will connect to the sheet with a saved import to speed things along. Then we'll first import the locations. So we go to the locations spreadsheet and import that to RCM locations. And the columns we want to import are already set up properly, so we can just click on Auto Match, and we can see that we've got the ID, the parent, and the description right there ready for import, and we'll pull it in. And if you look at the file now, we can see that we've imported the RCM locations with their children and their parents. Next, we will import the spares. So we come back to this same import, only this time we change the table match. We clear the match, match up spares to spares. Match up the proper columns. And what we want is the description or the ID of the spare assigned to the spare's ID and the description assigned to the description. You can forget these other columns here because they're just not useful for the import. So we go ahead and do the import. And now we have a list of spares. Next, we go to the tables again. We clear the match and we import the BOM list. Again, it gets imported to BOM. We match up the columns the way they need to be matched up. We've got the ID to the ID and the description to the description. And we do the import. And as you can see, we now have a list of spares and we have a list of BOMs. The next thing we want to do is assign these BOMs to the locations. So we'll come back to that same import. We'll switch over the table from the match that we had. Since we didn't save it, it doesn't show a match, but we'll go to locations and RCM locations again. We'll pick the correct columns. And here we want, I'm sorry, I matched to the wrong table here. Let's go back and match to the correct table. We want to match locations. We want to match BOM list to RCM locations. Then we go match the columns up that we want. So the ID that we have here is actually the ID for the RCM location. So we want to match location to ID. We want to match ID to BOM. And that's all we need to match up, and we can do the import. And now if we go take a look, by coming over here, showing the locations, we can see that those locations now have the BOMs assigned to. There are some that don't have BOMs, but that's because they are parent locations and don't have the BOM individually. The next thing we want to do, lastly, is import the BOM items to the BOM items. And we've got the BOM ID goes to the BOM. The quantity goes to quantity. The spare goes to spare. And the subindex goes to subindex. And we perform the import. Now if we go look at the BOMs, we can see that the BOM items have been assigned to each one of the BOMs. And it's that simple once you get your spreadsheet set up. So not a big deal, but it'll save you a lot of time, especially when you go to assign spare parts to the individual failure models in your model. In this video, we talked about what BOMs are, the benefits of using them both in maintenance and in modeling, how we use them, which tables we need to use in order to be able to put these things in Availability Workbench, and gave an example of how to set one up and import it. Thank you for attending today's webinar. If you want more information about Availability Workbench or any of the other Isograph products, please visit www.isograph.com or contact Brett Peterson at +1 801 610 0045 or bpeterson@isograph.com. Again, thank you for attending and looking at today's video.